What's up, everybody? It's the Inhuman one here, and today I'm going to propose a theory that attempts to explain the jaw-dropping phenomenon that took the citizens of London by surprise on August 3rd, 1896 in HBO's The Nevers. In this video, we're going to analyze the craft that flew over London and formulate theories on its possible origin and purpose, as well as examine those glowing orbs that gracefully descended to the people below. Be sure to put on your tinfoil hats. We're going to be covering a lot of space in a little bit of time. Pun intended. So without further ado, let's get started. August 3rd, 1896 was a Monday unlike any other. Although it was a bit gray, as most Mondays are, an inexplicable phenomenon occurred that forever changed countless women and several men in London, granting them special abilities. Those who were afflicted were labeled the Touched, and each Touched had their own unique gifts, called turns. Despite the fact that nearly everyone in London witnessed this once-in-a-lifetime event, very few individuals could actually recall what transpired during the course of those forgotten mere seconds.
3rd of August, 1896.
A Monday. Rather grey.
So what exactly happened on that fateful day? Simply put, an unidentified flying craft came from the clouds, released small glowing particles, and seemingly dissolved and disappeared out of sight. All the while, Londoners literally stopped in their tracks and bore witness to this strangely beautiful event. Individuals that absorbed the particles would go on to become the Touched, while those who did not would remain unafflicted. In either scenario, both groups would fail to remember the specific events of that day despite the life-changing circumstances. Now, the above description is what the layman would have reported. However, my powers of observation are slightly more astute. I believe what truly occurred has an otherworldly explanation. In fact, I believe that a malfunctioning alien craft entered our atmosphere and, in an attempt to preserve the lives of its passengers, released spores. These spores were not pretty inanimate floating objects, but rather sentient organic creatures that were looking to inhabit compatible hosts. Female hosts seem to have superior rates of successful symbiosis that is likely due to the chromosomal differences apparent in men and women. Possibly the additional X chromosome increases the chances for the spores to possess their hosts. Careful observation of these parasitic spores shows that they seem to move similarly to single-celled organisms equipped with tentacle-like flagella. Further scrutiny reveals that the placement of the spore landing site may result in a wide variety of possible turns. For instance, Malady's spore landed right on her forehead, likely resulting in her greater powers and possibly even her ability to recall the events of August 3rd. Her mental illness may also account for the deviation in the impact and control her spore has over her. We will explore why Malady's affliction differs from her compatriots in future videos. The spore that landed on Pennant's first made contact with her hands, which resulted in her supernatural ability to more efficiently harness potential energy into her handmade inventions. The list goes on, but there seem to be other criteria that must be met for a successful symbiosis to occur. Lord Madison's daughter initially absorbed a spore and seemed to be a compatible host, but after she absorbed the spores, she collapsed and fell unconscious. Perhaps this was due to something inherently wrong with her physical form or genetic makeup. It's likely she suffered adverse effects that will be revealed in future episodes. Amalia's situation is also unique in that her human form was deceased, albeit for mere seconds, while the spore made contact with her. This would explain her ability to recall the events that happened, as well as notable changes in her personality and skill set, as evidenced by several key scenes. Let's just say she's not the baker she once was. In fact, the only two that know her true identity are Malady and Amalia True herself, or should I say Sarah. Oh, but that's a theory for the next video. The key takeaways are the fact that this extraterrestrial species is indeed a threat that has afflicted those unfortunate enough to become assimilated. Second, Mary's song is not merely a lullaby, but rather a message that assists in the identification and unification of the alien species. In the end, Earth was simply the site of a crash landing of an alien craft, and London served as the petri dish in which the aliens could experiment with all facets of human civilization, including politics, government, religion, and more, in their attempts to re-establish their dominance and prolong the survival of their species. And that's all for this video. If you agree with my theory, comment UFO down below. And until next time, it's the Inhuman one signing out. Welcome to my universe.